All right, folks, welcome back to another fantastic edition of Opali Presents Know Your Pros. Today's guest, we have Jeff Wyttenbach, a mortgage loan officer at Vision Financial Group, powered by Umortgage. Jeff does home financing, mortgage loans, and specializes in VA loans for those who have served our country here in Ventura County. Jeff writes loans for vets by vets. It's a privilege to have this guy on the show. Jeff, thank you for being a guest.
I appreciate it, man.
Of course, Jeff, your name came up when I was shooting with my buddy Jamal Dowdy over at Dynamic Air the other day. He is another local business guy who's got his own thing going now, and he served in the military. You guys were both former Seabees. And before we started shooting this thing, I was curious how it came to be that you had gone from serving your country for over 20 years and got into the VA mortgage game. VA loans and serving in the military, that makes a lot of sense, but going from combat and deployment into financial products is an interesting path. Tell us that story, man.
Yeah. So when I say I literally fell into mortgages, I really did just fall into it. Right. So I had an awesome opportunity when I was transitioning from the military, retiring. It's called the Skill Bridge program, where you get out 6 months early from the service and you go intern somewhere to help you out with transitioning from the military. I just happened to have my mortgage broker I met and linked up with him and started doing and interned at a mortgage company and started learning the VA loan. And I just kind of took off from there and learning the ins and outs of the VA loan.
Right. And you explained to me for a solid 20 minutes before we got into this about the structure and process to grab a VA loan. Obviously, you got to be a vet, but you're putting zero down to get into this loan. You still have to qualify. You need that, approval, of course. But this industry obviously is really close to your heart as a veteran. You are making folks' dreams come true when you get these loans approved for these veterans that, probably come into your office multiple times every month. Can you tell us a little bit about that industry and why it's, I guess, kind of rewarding to you?
Yeah. So why it's rewarding me, I think the path to generational wealth is home ownership, the very first thing. So being in the service, we're not made of money. We do get a paycheck first and 15th, but we're not going to get wealthy doing what we do. But it can help out generational wealth, buying your home first and using that to pass on generation wealth and create equity in your life. So I think that's, number one thing with me is passionate about getting veterans in the home as quick as possible. And with zero money down is the biggest issue to help these veterans out.
You were explaining to me too that sometimes, vets don't know exactly what they've got when it comes to approaching somebody about a VA loan. And oftentimes if they, get that written through a bank, they just won't do it. Or, you've got folks who might know a little bit about the VA loan, but they aren't specialists like
Correct.
you. Tell me about those experiences that you've come across.
There's just so many myths and tricks with the VA. So the very first thing I always say, the VA doesn't do your loan, right? So the VA doesn't authorize the loan. They create guidelines for their what they can loan on, but they don't do the loan. The only thing the VA does is guarantee the loan 25% if the veteran defaults. But the VA loan is the lowest default rate out of all the mortgages, out of the conventional FHA, and VA does have the lowest default rate. So VA doesn't do loans. The servicer or whoever your bank is giving you the money does the loan, and they have their guidelines that they follow. So me being a broker, I have, I think 40 lenders I can go with to shop your rate and shop your loan. So not all loans fall into your A, B, and C order that a bank will do.
Right. So, when most people come and talk to you, you obviously write a majority of VA loans, but you're not just doing that, right? There are all sorts of different products, and you don't just work with vets, right?
Correct. So there's all, me being a mortgage broker, I can do all loans. Just me being a veteran, I understand the VA loan. I understand military pay, the structure. what people have gone through. So that's what I specialize in the VA, but I do all loans. A regular conventional loan, we can talk about that the rest of the day, how many different things you can go to do with the conventional, and then the FHA, the Federal Housing Authority, the 3.5% down, a little more guidelines with that, but what you can and can't do with that loan. But there's so many different loan products, and I do everything, but I do specialize in the VA loan.
Right. And, my last question is always like, why should somebody call Jeff Wyttenbach over that next broker
Yeah.
up the road? And you were explaining to me that, it's really kind of a personal angle, that you have somebody in your corner when you're going through this often confusing and difficult process, right?
Yeah. So you really do, like, buying a mortgage, the average person does 3 mortgages in their life, if that, right? So when you do get your mortgage, going through the bank, you're going to deal with a banker, and you're going to deal with his hours. And he or she may not explain everything in detail like a independent mortgage broker will. So, when you call me, all my numbers that go out is my personal cell phone. So, you're going to get somebody that explains a whole process for you. So,
Yeah, so you're accessible, you're kind of part of this community, and you were telling me too that you've got, quite a few contacts still back on the base at Fort Hueneme, which is where you spent a lot of your time, correct?
correct. So I don't know how many, I think I did 13 or 14 years there on the base. So I was stationed at Great Lakes in Chicago for about 4 years, and I was in San Diego for 2 years. But other than that, the 20 years is spent on that base in Fort Hueneme. So
Right.
a lot of times.
And so, again, folks, we have Jeff Wyttenbach here with us. He is a mortgage loan officer at Vision Financial Group, powered by Umortgage. If you're looking for a VA loan, any home financing or mortgage loans, he is the guy that you do want to talk to here in Ventura County. Jeff, before we wrap this thing up, man, I want folks to know how they can get in touch with you. We're going to put it all in the description of the video, but why don't you tell our viewers where they can get you?
Yeah, up and running on social media, obviously. So Facebook, if you just Google my name, Jeff Wyttenbach, on Facebook or on Google, you'll see my personal cell phone. My Instagram handle is VA Loans All Day. So if you type in VA Loans All Day, I'll come up and you'll see my beautiful face on there. Yeah. And yeah, you can see, I put out a lot of videos and content, the do's and don'ts about the VA, what you can and can't do. So a lot of good resources there.
Beautiful. And I mean, VA loans, he writes those all day. That's part of the Instagram handle, folks.
Yeah.
Because what they say about, CBs, like VA loans, CBs can do, right?
Yeah.
That's the deal. Yeah.
I
Thanks for
like
letting that one in, Jeff. I appreciate that. Again, folks, Jeff Wyttenbach here with us. He is with Vision Financial Group. Jeff, thank you so much for coming by and explaining your product here as a guest on Know Your Pros.
No, for sure. Appreciate you.
Know Your Pros.